Hi, my name is Jonathan Bean, and these are the interview questions that I'm going to answer right now about change management, which is something I'm kind of an expert on. I've been through different types of change management in my job, in the different jobs I've had, and I've studied change management, and I am very familiar with the principles of how it works. So let's look at this list. Question number one: what is change management? Define it. Change management is the process by which the management, usually of a corporation or a company, will help change happen in their company. A change of policy, a change of person, a change of whatever. It's basically how like the management of a company, the managers will help their employees be on board with whatever change they're trying to implement. So that's what change management is, basically, in a nutshell. Question number two: what steps are usually taken to address conflict during change management? So the first thing you need to do is you need to get people together. Change management is not effective if you don't actually get the word out. So that's the first thing you need to do. You need to get the word out. Email can sometimes be an effective way of change management if everyone in your organization is really good at checking their email. A video update can also be helpful if people actually look at that. But quite frankly, in my experience, the most effective step you can take to do change management correctly, properly, and most effectively is gather everybody into a room. Because at that point, it's not just because they missed the email. If somebody misses change management when they're all gathered in a room, it's on them. Other steps are to clearly explain what the change is, and this is the one thing that a lot of companies are hesitant to do, why the change is happening the way that it is. Word, what, why. Those are the 3 W's of change management. What challenges have you seen arise from change management? Well, we see it all the time. We see it in White House press briefings. We see it in company Twitter updates. Anything where a company where a company or corporation or department is trying to change its policy. If you do so sneakily, if you do so without relaying all the facts, or if you do so while trying to push a very specific narrative that doesn't fit all the facts, you're going to have a bad time. Okay, question number 4. What was a key difference between the good experience and bad experience you had with change management? Okay, so this was a few years ago. This was like 2016, 2018, somewhere in there. I was working at a customer service department of a company, and one manager. The company was starting to grow, and so one manager needed to actually split her team because her team had gotten so big. So what she did is my manager, her name was Chris, brought everyone on the team, took us all off the phones and brought us into a meeting room, had us all sit around one big table all together, and she was in the room and the new supervisor was in the room. And it was explained to us, "Hey everybody," Chris said, thanks for coming. You don't know me, I'm Chris, I'm your supervisor. This is Raina. She is going to be your new supervisor. Here's a little bit about her, boom, boom, boom. And they just kind of went over a brief history of who she is and kind of what her experience is and what her qualifications are. But they also humanized it. I think they told that Chris told a funny story about Raina. I don't remember what it was, but I remember feeling good about Raina by the time Chris was done talking. But it didn't even stop there. Chris explained, we're splitting half of you are going to move over to Raina's new team, even though she's a brand new supervisor, because my team is so big that it needs to split. And so then Raina, I was already on board by the time Chris was done talking, but then they said, Raina, would you like to introduce yourself? And Raina then further introduced herself, and that actually might have been the point where she told the funny story. And then Chris then opened the floor and said, okay, do any of you have any questions for me or Raina? And several people had questions, a couple people had concerns, but because both Raina and Chris were so open about it, like, everybody was totally smoothly on board. I wasn't even moving. I was staying on Chris's team, but I was excited at this point for everybody who was going to Raina's team. That was the good experience. The bad experience is a lot shorter story because there was a lot less done. Basically, we had a new manager at this exact same company now, a new middle manager. And this new middle manager started putting in all of these changes to company policy. And a lot of supervisors started disappearing, especially the ones that were kind of disagreeing with the direction that she was taking the department. And they just silently disappeared. There was no explanation as to what happened to them. There was no explanation as to what policy they had disagreed on. There was no explanation as to where they had gone or what was going on next. There was just silence. I'd say probably over 50% of the workforce left within the next year. All of us who had, including people who had been there for 5, 6, 7 years, which is hard to get in a customer service position. But this company had taken really good care of us. But this new middle manager, they wanted to control the narrative and say as little as possible, and that led to the department's downfall. It wasn't a fun place to work anymore. There was this fear that was everywhere, because all the employees were talking about it quietly behind the managers' backs, and so that was the bad experience. Same exact company, a difference of only a year or two. All right, so question 5, last question. How could the bad experience have been handled differently? I mean, if the policies had been clearly gone over, right? If the policies hadn't been thrown out in a very easy to miss email, the new policies about lateness and all that stuff, if the policies had been very clearly explained, and if the manager hadn't just been trying to quickly silence people, if the new manager had been explaining what happened with this employee and why this employee wasn't following the new policy, maybe some of us wouldn't have liked it, but at least we all would have got it. We all would have understood what the new expectations were. But I guess my answer to how could the bad experience have been handled differently, by doing anything at all, by word, what, why. Any of those three, adding any of those three would have helped. So there you go. That's my experience and expertise with change management. Thank you.